you're live on that. All right, sounds like.
All right, everyone ready to get started? Sweet. Yeah. No. Thanks for coming out tonight again. So I think we have all the same people here, so we'll skip introductions this week.
It's nice to see your face.
Yeah, I know, right? Finally,
Nice
you can see
change.
everyone's faces. So I guess we'll just start off kind of looking at where we're at now, where we're headed. And then we'll talk about a mission and a vision. And then this spotlight meeting idea that we had. And then we'll wrap it up. So yeah. Yeah.
I was on there last time, so I don't know everyone.
That is true. All right. We can go around and introduce ourselves then.
You want me to start?
Oh.
Oh, you got your.
You want to click the next slide? Sorry.
Well, just in case you forgot.
After 11 years, I'm not going to get it right.
Just like that.
Before we go through introductions, we'll just look over our meeting guidelines again real quick. So let's keep it to one person speaking at a time. And if you're on Zoom, raise your hand just for the ease of things and so that we know you have something to say. We want to be supportive of each other's opinions. Let's think about the process, not personality. So we're working towards our objective. Thinking about how it can be done, not what's going wrong. So working towards those solutions again. And let's all be flexible in our thinking. There's no one right way to do this. So just keep open minds and strive towards solutions. And then again, what's said here kind of stays here just so we can build that trust and respect. All right. Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm Bridget. I am the Ravalli County Fire Adapted Communities Coordinator for the DNRC.
I'm Mike Stornetta, and I'm a resident here in Victor. Just joining up to help out. Kind of.
Right, Graham, I know you, I know Mark, and I met you, but I see faces, but I don't remember names very well. So I'm Frank Graham, I'm the Deputy Director of the Ravalli County Office of Emergency Management. I work with Eric Hoover, and I'm a part of this lovely council with you all, so nice to meet you.
So hang on, I'm sorry, just to interrupt, that our Zoomers are saying they can't hear as well. So if you could just project and speak a little louder so that they can hear, that would be awesome. You don't have to yell, but thank you, sorry to interrupt.
Colin, is our mic on as well?
Yeah.
Great,
Now
thank you.
that one on.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Byron Bonney. I work with Bitterroot Resource Conservation and Development here in Hamilton and retired Forest Service.
Mark Wilson, the Fire Management Officer for the Bitterroot National Forest, and live just north of Stephenville.
I'm Roylene Gall. I'm from the Victor Volunteer Fire Department, and I'm also retired.
Mike Grant, I'm with the Bitterroot Valley Board of Realtors, one of the local directors, and retired after 34 years of emergency services with all aspects.
Patrick Ackley, I live up Dutch Hill Road, farmer and rancher, here representing all the production agriculture people in the Bitterroot.
Let's get the Zoomers. Okay, George, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm George Korn. I've lived in the Bitterroot since 1981. Been interested in fire for a long time, been in some public policy positions, and have a big interest in what is going on now.
Thank you.
Bruce, do you want to introduce yourself?
Bruce Interim, I'm chairman of the board of Hamilton Rural Fire District. Live on Lost Horse.
Excellent. Thayer?
Yeah, my name's Thayer Jocks, and I work as a Hamilton Unit Forester for DNRC.
Great, thank you. Oh, I'm Krista Mortensen. I am the Community Preparedness and Fire Prevention Specialist for the DNRC.
All right, so we just wanted to kind of check in and talk briefly about where we're at and where we're going. So we got a name last meeting. Awesome. This meeting, hopefully we'll kind of try and nail down that mission, and then discuss a vision as well. And then next kind of step we were thinking of is sort of an education piece, to go over issues in the county and then different resources that are available. And we'll go into that a little bit more, but we're thinking about having 2 extra meetings this month. They will be optional, but just to highlight those issues and resources that are already out there to help educate ourselves, to hopefully inform our next step of goals for our group. And then eventually those goals will hopefully lead to various committees that will lead to projects and then work on the ground. I will pass it over to Mike.
All right. So it was brought to our attention, and this is why the group is so valuable, because there are things that we do pick up on and there's things that we also miss. So it was brought to our attention how the value of the vision at this juncture in time, as we've already done our brainstorming exercise, excuse me as I can't talk, but we've already done our brainstorming exercise, and it's good just kind of to come up with a simple, maybe a 2-sentence vision. And then we can take that information and then tie it all together and complete our mission statement. So if you guys bear with me, we'll take a quick little jaunt down the vision statement road, and then we'll bring it right back and tie it back together. And again, this is, I'm not going to break it down like we did our last session and go through. We already did the who, what, why, and how. And we can pull that slide back up to give us a little bit of a refresh on where we were at. And then basically, we'll pull up the dry erase board and we'll just kind of write down some ideas as we put them together and form up a sentence or 2. We already do have a vision on our website, as well as we already do have a mission. So what we're doing is we're improving upon that. We're not reinventing the wheel, but we're going to improve and make it fit for where we're at and where we're going. So whenever I say vision, the biggest thing is want you guys to think about where do you see us, not just next year, but in 5 years, in 10 years. What is this council, what do you want us to have accomplished by then? Those are not necessarily our goals. Don't want to get too deep in the weed on goals, but our vision. Basically, this is where I have a hard time, so you guys are gonna have to bear with me, but they say get dreamy. We want to be dreamy. Exactly, that was my thoughts too. Patrick, you're a dreamy guy.
I'm not a dreamy guy. I think for a vision, you want something that encompasses continuing education, because that's what it is.
Mhm.
We want to continually educate people in the valley, ourselves,
Mhm.
on how we're going to live with fire. So, and I feel it has to have something of, oh, we look to be the resource for continuing education for all residents of the Bitterroot Valley,
Mhm.
or however we worded it last time. We were kind of on the fence, like, what's the Bitterroot? Like, where's the northern boundary? Where's the southern boundary?
Where it was, yeah, and then I got to.
Sorry if I mess you up there.
Yeah, so I-
So, thank you, Patrick. So education continuing, I got that. And then a couple things too. Like I said, keep it simple, maybe 2 sentences. One of the other things that kind of spur some deep thoughts is they said, okay, if you had a headline in the newspaper that said, Fire in the Root Council says this, and in 5, 10 years, what would you want to be known for? What do you want? That
Bitterroot fire safe.
Bitterroot fire safe.
Fire safe.
Okay.
Fire safe.
And Patrick, yours was continually educating, and what else?
Continuing education and what else did I say? I can't remember. It's been a long day today.
I think we've all been busy. I get it. So let me just read to you what is already on there. So the current vision on the website says Fire in the Roots vision is for Ravalli County communities to become adapted for wildfire. Okay, so that's kind of a good quick goal. So
And I always go back to the national cohesive strategy and the goals. You know, providing more resilient landscapes and creating fire adapted communities, like you said. And then improving the fire response. So those are the 3 main goals of the national cohesive strategy. And those are very well thought out. Of course.
I like that.
That I always go back to those because they kind of set the stage for what all these councils do, it seems like.
I was gonna say, I was looking on our website, see if we have that on there already, but can you, I got creating fire adapted communities.
Okay, improving fire response.
Okay.
So doing all those things makes the Bitterroot fire safe.
Restore and maintain landscapes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Resilient
Yeah.
landscapes.
Sorry.
Thanks, man.
That's it.
Restore and maintain landscapes.
And so really a vision often is like, what's your end state? What does it mean that, what does success look like for the council? So our success, our vision would be, we've created this or we've helped to facilitate the creation of this, is what I would say. So it would be, you know, a Bitterroot Valley or a Ravalli County that has fire adapted communities, provides for safe and efficient or safe and effective fire response, and has resilient or has restored and maintained resilient landscapes.
Did you get that, Bridget?
That's okay, all right.
You combined 3 of them, right?
Yeah, so it's just
That was-
in one statement saying the cohesive strategy, but saying that Ravalli County is that, because that's that goal, is that fire safe Ravalli County.
And Patrick, just to come back to your continual education, would you agree that that would be within this, creating the fire adapted
absolutely.
communities through education as we've already discussed? Okay.
Kind of what I liked, she said something,
We'll have to
it's
watch
been
the
a really
recording.
long day for me today. You said something about facilitating,
Yeah, because we can't,
facilitating
right, the creation
that.
of,
So spin on words. If it was any other day than today, I could spew it out, but it
so
just ain't coming to me
facilitating the
today.
creation of,
Because I think we have to strike a good balance between, we're trying to facilitate it, we're not trying to run your life.
right.
We are
And
giving
we-
you the
and we can't
resources.
do it. It's like, it's
Yeah.
not something that we are
You
going
know,
to do.
we're
with our
pulling
hands.
from all
Right.
these different people who have experience.
Yeah,
Here's the resources.
right,
It's still up to you.
yeah.
Type of deal.
And you could say facilitating a fire safe Ravalli County by helping to create fire adapted communities, improving effective and efficient fire response, or what is it, effective and, is it safe and efficient fire response? And restoring and maintaining resilient landscapes.
Can I make an observation?
Mhm.
For people who are not in the fire background, that language might be difficult for them to understand.
Okay,
I think it needs to be, I mean, I love all the ideas and I agree with all of them, but I think it needs to be worded in plain English for people who are not of a fire background. Just so that people who are reading that can truly understand what you're saying.
perfect.
Just a thought. So for me, it would be things like, equipping the residents or facilitating with resources, as Patrick said. I think you just need to make the language less fire speak and more plain English, just a thought. And I'm open to pushback, but
No, that's good.
No, that's what we're doing it for.
Yeah.
Yeah, we said
Yeah.
facilitating the creation of communities in Ravalli County adapted to fire, or that can coexist with fire, providing for public and firefighter safety. That work? And that one's a hard one. The landscape.
Restoring and maintaining the
And
natural beauty of blah, blah, blah.
what's that?
Well, landscapes is beauty. I mean,
Right.
that's why people move here.
Restoring and maintaining healthy landscapes.
One way to come about it would be providing some examples. Because many of these have.
Yeah, they do.
Hundreds of
Right.
things that fall
exactly,
under, so maybe some examples.
right.
To help with that.
I could put maybe facilitating and a resource center and all those kinds of things.
Would you say, what about if you said, maintain fire safe landscapes or fire resistant landscapes? Would that sound plain speak? But that's not necessarily natural either sometimes.
Well, but we don't want it necessarily fire resistant, like some landscapes we want to, because it depends on fire. And
Right.
so I think healthy is the key, because healthy could mean frequent fire, especially.
Fire isn't bad.
Does that work?
Aggressive, so.
Okay.
So I think healthy might.
Did you get that one? Was that what you were typing up?
And then what we actually do is kind of rework it, give a couple versions of it and send it out to everybody after the meeting
Oh, that's cool.
and see what everybody likes. That
Take a
way they
vote
have
on it?
time to digest it, yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll do the same, like we'll figure out the mission kind of and then kind of do the same.
Right, because it is flexible. Eventually,
Yeah.
it's gonna obviously become much more solidified. Is your hand up?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
sorry.
Aren't you saying that accepting fire is part of the landscape?
Living with it?
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm not sure if I got your question though. I mean,
Well, I mean, you're talking about restoring and maintaining landscape and what Kristen's saying is really, it's not restoring, it's the learning to use fire as part of it because fire was part of the landscape. And we're the ones that need to learn to live with it.
Yeah,
well said.
so yeah, and that's that first part, that creating fire adaptive communities, we're gonna reword that to creating communities that can coexist or better coexist with fire. So that might get to that coexistence part. Do you think that covers it?
I would think it would, but are you guys in agreement with that? Okay.
Zoomers, do you have any input? Or any thoughts? Okay, I'd say we just move on and
Yeah.
we'll type up a couple versions of it and see what everybody likes through email, if that
Just gonna
works.
take a snapshot of this just in case it doesn't come back up. All right. Cool. Any other thoughts or input on this before we just? You want to read what you already have, Bridget, or are you at a point where you can, or? Just to summarize?
I've got, I'll send it out.
Okay, well said. See if this works.
And where are we going? Okay, hang on, because I gotta do something.
Okay.
So bear with us, because Anna's not here, and Anna is our technological guru, and I'm the exact opposite of that, so.
Nice. So your screen's up.
And, nope.
Kristen's having problems with somebody back here. With the phone.
I know, Colin, but I can do this myself. I'm a big girl. I got this. All right. I think I got it, Colin. But my chat disappeared.
It looks like it.
All right. Did I do okay?
It's like it.
I did the same right stuff there. This one popped up automatically. Very strange. This is the one I chose, this one. Hang with us, sorry. I probably pushed the wrong button.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you guys all for your patience. So while they're doing that, we'll just chit chat about the mission statement. We have a couple examples that we'll be pulling up. We'll put it on the board. We'll also bring up our brainstorm exercises. Bridget was kind enough to go through and write it legibly and the things that we chose to utilize. So make it a little bit more helpful for us all. And then, just so you know where our current mission statement is, I'll just read it to you guys. I know you all probably have heard it or seen it, but just to refresh. Our current mission statement says to serve as a hub for wildfire preparedness activities through proactive and collaborative programs. Summarizes it fairly well, but we have a lot more than that now, so we're certainly going to improve upon it.
Oh, you're okay. So I have, if we want to read the who, so we talked about the who will the council serve, and we decided on Ravalli County communities. We discussed what the council will do, and we talked about the primary things being education, providing technical expertise, which encompasses the wildfire risk assessment process, providing collaboration, coordination, and facilitating mitigation, why the council will do it, safety, protect lives and values, and learning to live with fire and stewardship, and how we will do it. We will do it through action. And so with those key elements in mind, like remember those as we look through the other statements. There's these, did we have, was this one the one with?
Should be a list of the ones everybody submitted as well.
This one doesn't, I don't think this one has everybody's on it.
No, it's on the PowerPoint.
Okay, can you bring it up? So do you wanna read off a few?
Is the reading, I'm not a big listener, I'm a very visual person, so how's the reading going right
What
now?
I'm wondering is, with all this fancy technology, couldn't we put those lists up on the screen like side by side?
But that's what he's actually
Yeah.
trying to do.
We actually have a
and show
PowerPoint
it to
that has
the Zoom. Yeah. It's didn't, for some reason, it like disappeared. I didn't press an X, I really didn't, but it disappeared.
Maybe we should
So-
set some paper out, some butcher paper, right?
I know.
Go back to the flip chart.
Old fashioned whiteboard or flip chart, yeah,
Giant
exactly.
sticky notes.
Yes.
Those work.
Exactly, but this is really cool, especially for
There it
people
is.
that are zooming, because there isn't the boundaries, and
Thank you, Colin.
yeah, Colin
Certainly
is working
appreciate that.
magic, because if he wasn't here, we would be on the flip chart.
down. It was similar to that thing they did, where it was red.
I
So we
jinxed
got all that
us.
rain last week, and
Yeah.
you can hardly tell it
It's my
rained.
fault.
It might fall.
I said we might.
Don't
get out of
even
here.
say it, don't even say it.
I'll come here direct right.
Yeah, grab a cookie and some oranges if you
Yeah,
want to.
Take an intermission and go with some snacks, drinks.
Is there water somewhere?
There is one.
There's one or two over there on that table.
I didn't know if that was ours or the fire department.
The one to the right's already open.
Just for your information, right, there's another bathroom. Right next to that one, you just have to go down the hallway.
Okay.
So there's two of them.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
We shouldn't have to wait.
No lines here. That's good.
Did them two guys survive that plane crash in Darby?
Yeah.
They did? Good.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just heard about it.
I heard a call.
Print out your PowerPoint picture.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really? I know, I do every day.
Yeah.
Anna leaves.
Usually
and
I'll
everything
not-
falls apart?
How to not do something.
Oh. There was a better way to do it. That wasn't
Yeah.
the way I
I'm
did it.
sure I did something.
Oh,
You guys getting all
Well,
ready?
if we
That's
have
it right there.
to,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
fine. That works.
Yeah. What's the fire danger up to now?
because that's honestly just fine too.
Water still?
Yeah, we're.
Yeah,
One,
put it
yeah,
in.
right there.
It's progressing.
Then, hang on, where are the examples? So it should be
They're on the
next
next,
one, right?
Then that's how you-
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
No,
thanks,
not a
Colin, for
problem.
solving the problem.
Let's get lightning Thursday, Friday. So like it did with
Oh,
us.
nice.
Yeah, 93 degrees on Thursday.
Yeah. It looks that way. We didn't bring a helicopter on, just for free, 'cause I was gonna start.
Alright. We ready?
So,
Okay. That chat box.
Yeah, there was
Okay there.
a little cloud that kind of looked like a bucket.
I'm
think
assuming.
so, yeah.
Alright, do we want to move to ones that people?
Yeah, I think so. Do you guys wanna do you guys wanna review a couple that are local that we can just take a quick peek at? We'll let you read through them.
I would.
So just kind of a read at your own leisure. Good. Just kind of see how our neighbors have their mission statements. And people at home on Zoom, can they see that?
They should be able to.
Okay.
Grand County must be out of state.
Yeah, Grand County is Colorado. Yes. It's one of the older, not oldest, but older wildfire councils.
You guys let us know.
Simpler, I like it, simple, short,
Isn't symbol nice?
yeah.
Only way to go.
Right?
Are any of these from California?
I don't think so.
Or do they just wait until it's
Calavera.
absolutely
Calavera.
horrible and then
Calavera
call
is-
it?
All right. So these are the responses that we had from all of you, which is amazing. Thank you very much. And you guys could take a look at, see what everybody suggested and put in there. If you guys would like me to read them, but I think that's more confusing, so I'll let you guys read them at your leisure.
And as you're looking at them, look for the elements that we talked about last time. Those who, what, why, and how. and we can mesh them together. You see parts of one that you like and parts of another.
I like what, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name.
Right.
Fran, I like what Fran said, simple, and so anybody can read it. I believe she said simple too. You can get wordy on the,
Right.
when you go more in depth about fuel reduction and
Yeah.
the 50 feet around your home and the stuff like that.
Yeah, and we
So
should.
if you put too much of it, people are like, no.
Right. A mission should be a very general, it's tied with the mission. Usually you have a vision and mission, right? And the vision is where do you want to end up? What's your end product and what does your success look like? How do you know you've achieved it? And then your mission is that broad, how are we going to get there? And then your goals are those specific, you know, we want to look at this, we want to look at this, we want to look at this. And so it really should be fairly general.
Yeah.
This is the second page of the same material. Can you guys see that in the back okay? Okay.
The second one from the bottom is pretty straightforward.
Promote and facilitate the long-term reduction risk from wildfire and adaptation to wildfire by communities and residents throughout the Ravalli County.
Straightforward to the point.
Does that check the boxes of our? Actually,
So, yeah, we got Ravalli County,
Mhm.
residents throughout Ravalli County. Education, technical expertise, collaboration, coordinate, facilitate. So it says promote and facilitate.
Mhm.
And the other ones, it's okay if they're so general that in any way we choose would fit under there. Safety, protect lives and values, learn to live with fire and stewardship. So we have adaptation to fire, we have reduction of risk, which is also safety and protect lives and values.
Are you reading from the?
yeah,
What we
I think
went
she
through.
is.
I'm
So
reading from the who, what, why,
that's what
how.
she's reading from. So,
Got it.
Okay,
so here we serve Ravalli County communities.
Oh, God.
There it is.
Not sure
No.
why.
So what's everything in bold in the top is the things we chose, and what's not in bold at the bottom were our extra thoughts still on the page. So how belongs over there by take action. What is kind of right there. So, and why, you guys can put it together.
Yeah.
So why?
so that other statement, can we go back to that
Yes.
other statement? And then, is there anything you would want to add to that? Promote and facilitate the long-term reduction of risk from wildfire and adaptation to wildfire by communities and residents throughout Ravalli County. Do you feel there is our action item in there?
Is the people on Zoom, are they unmuted, so if they want to speak up, they can?
I think they can unmute.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Great.
Go for it, you already.
Well, yeah, are you gonna mention the WUI in this? At some point, it seems to me, particularly looking at the DNRC material that I have, that the WUI needs to be mentioned.
So we could mention the WUI,
It's just
Right.
throwing
it
that
could
out.
pigeonhole us too. And so one option could be, we mentioned in areas of risk, of moderate to high risk. Just because our WUI is expanding and those, and it is the WUI. But I want to say we are also getting the message to everyone, not necessarily those, just the homeowners living in the WUI. It's also about the whole community, the business owners in downtown Hamilton, that if we have a huge fire that smokes out everything and, you know, any tourism that would have come through doesn't because of the smoke and fires. It's also helping them to learn to deal with that or avoid that, you know? So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would not include the WUI because this public misconception that the WUI is houses way up high on the west side. We have wildland urban interface in the river valley.
Right.
We need to be worried about that as well as, so this should be a countywide deal. This shouldn't be about something that somebody's drawing a line from that.
Okay, that's an excellent point. George, did you hear that or do you need me to restate that?
No, I mean, I heard it. I'm not sure I agree with all of it based on the map, but it's not worth arguing the point.
Well, we can. Communities and residents throughout the county.
The WUI is in Ravalli County, so you're including it even if you're not saying it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I do think we are looking broader. I mean, it's for us, it's, you know, our land, there's a very small connection to WUI. We're looking at the larger landscape, so I think that keeps it encompassing because it's important for us to be doing work well outside the WUI, restoring landscapes. So I think WUI is a part of what we're doing. It is I think it's a part. I think it's the whole.
And we're
And
considering.
it's not like we're trying to downplay the significance of the WUI.
No.
Right.
It's just, like you say, gotta speak in,
Broad general terms.
yeah,
Well, talk about who is, right? We're Raleigh County communities, so when we're reaching the whole county, not everybody's in the WUI.
Mhm.
So,
And the other thing is, the WUI in Ravalli County really isn't established. We went back to the 2006 WUI, they call it WUI, but it really isn't. In 2009, a WUI map was done, but it was not approved. Right now, Ravalli County really does not have that, what I would call an established WUI. They have the high priority areas from the 2006 CWPP, but they do not have a really hard established WUI anyway. So it'd be really hard for us to say the WUI in this picture.
it's kind of.
I see.
That's what you're
I
saying.
see the point. Excuse me. I see the point about not saying the WUI on the mission statement, but there is a WUI map that DNRC put up, which they were required to do by the legislature. I believe it was 2009 or 2011. And it's pretty much of an overlay. It looks like John Monzi's tried to get an answer to me of the map that DOR uses for the parcels that for tax purposes. So
Right. Well, and that's where our goals can encompass that. Like we can have goals that directly speak to WUI. I think the reticence here is pigeonholing us in our mission statement.
yeah, I accept the point. I
Yeah.
accept it.
But it is a really good point because it's a really valid thing, and honestly, it's
It's a big deal.
yeah, it is a big deal. Okay, so should we keep with this one? And then here's the thing, it's fluid. It isn't written in stone. As we progress and as we start to learn more and educate ourselves about the local issues and our goals, we can always revisit the mission and say, hey, let's make this a little different. Maybe we want it more specific in the future. But is everybody good to go with kind of that simple promote and facilitate? That long-term risk reduction?
Good.
Good.
Okay, how about, let's see, who else do I have? Bruce, what do you think? Or not? Okay.
Once I get unmuted, I can start talking. I'm
Sorry.
good with the process.
Okay, thanks. Sorry to put you on the spot. I just want to make sure your voice is heard. Okay,
It's still a broad swipe. It leaves a lot of flexibility and
It's adaptable to change at any point, and that's what it
Yeah.
needs to be.
exactly, exactly. And it doesn't pigeonhole us in any way either. I like that. So if you guys are okay with that. I mean, there's still a lot of other information from our brainstorm stuff, but it's broad enough that it encompasses that. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, definitely, because that case could be anything from the treatment of fuels to building materials to
Right.
all different, I mean, I think it encompasses a lot.
yeah, to our landscapes, to our cross-boundary work. Yeah, I agree. Okay, cool.
So, yeah,
And if you get in further and start putting policies, you have to adapt the rest of the policies. But you're still a living document that's subject to change at any time.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
it's great. Well, you guys made my job tonight very easy, so thank you, everybody, and all those in Zoom land. Thank you. So, any questions before we move on? Cool.
All right. All right.
I'd move that for you, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of stuck on this side.
Oh, sorry, here.
No, you're fine.
Here, I'll go like this. I can, oops. I totally just did.
We'll stop with that.
So in just kind of planning for all meetings and whatnot, we did a couple spotlights. I brought up the community wildfire protection plan last meeting, and we just thought it was very valuable to take the time to make sure that we are all aware and educated on the resources that are available in the county, but also the issues that could be present. So instead of doing it slowly with one spotlight each meeting, we figured, especially before we get to the goals, we better do it all kind of before then. So it's going to be an optional meeting. It will be recorded. So if you can't attend, no problem. You'll be able to watch it later. But we were thinking June 8th and June 29th, same time, 7 to 8:30. We haven't decided if we want it to be in person or not yet. So if nobody's available to come in person, we'll just keep it to Zoom. Try and keep it as simple as possible and flexible as possible. But pretty much 2 1.5-hour information sessions, just highlighting current risk conditions, hazardous fuels projects that have been completed and that are in the works, go over fire adapted communities, home ignition zones, and the home assessment process, and discuss the volunteer fire department capacity to do kind of mitigation and prevention work, and then post-fire suppression needs. Again, this can be virtual or in person. Does anyone have a preference at this time?
No, June 8th, I can't be either way.
Awesome.
Shot.
Okay. So,
29th, right now, 29th, I'm good, but
okay, awesome.
So maybe just doing Zoom. And the
Yeah.
idea of this is really that, you know, as we're formulating goals, you need to be informed of what those issues are in order to address them. And many of us are aware of certain issues, but I know I am not aware of all the issues out there. And that's why I rely on you guys to help me understand what more of the issues are. And I think each of us is kind of the same way. We know certain issues, but there's others that are out there that could be equally deserving of the council's attention, and could be equally important. And so we just thought, let's provide this source of awareness and education, which we all have already identified as really important for the community. Well, we need it too. And so provide this source of education and information, and it'll be recorded. So you just tap on and watch when you can. The idea being you watch it before the next meeting when we will discuss goals and hopefully go into projects.
Kristen, where would that be available? Will that be on our website?
Yep.
So people can access it?
Yeah.
And it will be there long-term so they can review the
Yeah.
presentations as needed?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll host that on our website. Bridget will make sure to send out a link to those recordings so that you can access them and watch them. And also a part of this would be as we do them, they're the issues or the resources that we know about. There could be a gap, so let us know too if there's something else that you feel the council needs to become aware of. If there's an issue that you feel is not being addressed, yeah, that the council needs to.
So this is kind of what we had planned so far for just topics and ideas. We were originally going to have Matt Young from the Forest Service talk about their projects and Thayer as well. But we decided again just to try and do it all together at once. So does anyone see anything we're missing? Have any ideas? Anything they want to?
I think they're all good. One thing I might recommend is just sitting here thinking in mind is folks' time is really tough. And it might even be that some of these are individually recorded, maybe even 10 or 20-minute little blocks separately and just
Yeah.
post it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yes.
And
Especially
maybe you
since
have a
nobody
highlight of a
makes
month or two.
meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've found lately some folks doing that sort of thing, and I can watch one or two of those here and there.
That's a great idea. Just break it up into individual sessions and then it's easier actually for the presenters because then they just send us.
Yep, just post them and mail them out to us.
Okay.
Do the video clips.
Yeah.
Much easier than trying to get together for me.
Yeah.
And then we could probably post or advertise those on some of our different sites, just like the site here.
Okay.
Of course, Facebook page.
Well, and that's it. We could put them on the Facebook page as they go. Yeah, there might be just an issue with actually videotaping the presentation for some presenters. Like it's not as easy to videotape yourself doing a presentation, but maybe it's just a narrated PowerPoint.
Yeah.
We can work that out, but if that's a preferable option,
They don't necessarily have to stand in front of the camera. They can just
Right.
narrate their.
Yeah.
right?
And even with my profession right now, it's easier to take the short clips.
Mhm.
'Cause
Yeah.
I have to take a large chunk out and can't always do that.
Right,
Pretend you're at a T-ball game. People's attention span is
yeah,
very short,
yeah,
so they don't want to sit and watch a
Hour long,
hour-long
Oh, right.
thing, like
10 minutes.
10 to 20
Right.
20 minutes top.
well, and that's, we were trying to think, well, if we can condense it just into this hour and a half, then that reduces time too, but you're right, that hour and a half is a chunk of
Mhm.
time.
The people don't.
Whereas, oh, I agree, I can fit 20 minutes in between running kids from here to there.
Because
a
some
lot easier.
people, like us here, most of us know the current risk conditions, probably won't watch that one. But like me, hazardous fuels, I want to know what DNRC and Forest Service is doing, so if you have friends or relatives that are camping up in a certain area,
I would suggest that everybody watches, even if you think you know, because that could be part of the problem. I know whenever I assume, it makes the first 3 letters of that word out of myself oftentimes, because we think we know, and actually there's a lot more to it. I know Byron has a wealth of knowledge on how we got here, and it might surprise you, some of the things. So I would suggest, even if you think you know, watch them because you may be surprised. No, I think that's a great idea. What do you think, Zoomers? Does anybody have an objection to multiple videos, multiple spotlight videos?
Seeing none.
Or suggested issues or resources that weren't up here that we can add to the list?
I'm thinking it doesn't even have to be a video. I mean, it could be just a little, like, here's a small document. type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
If they don't want to do a video.
Right.
It's,
could be a PowerPoint presentation with that narration and just that, sure, you bet.
I
You
think
bet,
it's a little bit starting topic list when things come up that we're interested in.
okay,
Sure, we're up in front if it's a topic of the time.
Sounds great.
okay.
Good
I have a
suggestion.
quick question about under session 2, the grant opportunities and resources for landowners. When I read that, I'm thinking of ranchers and farmers, not somebody who actually just owns a home. Does that include homeowners or is that a different grant system?
It is homeowners, but it's not for the home. It is for homeowners with a certain acreage, I believe, isn't it? The NRCS grants, isn't it a certain acreage that you need to have?
Well, NRCS has a totally different program than we do, so I'm not totally familiar with it, but they do sometimes a lot more acres than we do.
Right.
But they do have an income cap. For the qualifier now. So, yeah, they've got some other things going on that I'm not sure.
Yeah.
about.
I think if you file your, I can't remember the document number, but say you have 8 acres and you got a couple horses and a steer out there. If you file it, if it's zoned ag, and then I think you got, it's just typical government stuff. You got to file 15 pieces of paperwork. But it is for smaller landowners too.
Yeah.
But
Do you think-
you got to jump through a few more hoops.
It is more focused on the land than the home.
That's a federal program, so it depends on what monies are available and what DC has decided is the top. So like,
Right,
I did a fuel reduction through NRCS, but they're no longer available because now they have other priorities.
okay,
It's just like their conservation programs. Once
right,
they have 20 farmers in the conservation stewardship program, they cap it.
yeah,
So I
Yep.
did speak with Stacy not too long ago, and she did actually want to present and talk about what they do. And because they're looking for new projects, actually. So any recommendations that we can give them, they're willing to make projects based on what, we think the priorities are and whatnot. So there's definitely some influence that we can have in where they do their projects and whatnot. Because I do know that it is by area that they do their certain projects and whatnot. But she did say that they're looking for new areas. So it's an awesome opportunity that we could.
And
potentially
Stacy's
jump
with
on.
NRCS.
yeah.
Get to some chat.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, I'm coming. Presentation from Headwater Economics.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
that might be
Thank
longer
you.
than 15 minutes. But yes, definitely,
And they do have already some really nice short videos.
yeah.
That's one thing.
Where are they based out of?
They're out of Bozeman.
Nice.
They're actually a national kind of think tank and research company, but they do a lot of work in Montana and they have done a lot of work in Ravalli. And Bridget has spoken with Kamiko, who does a lot of their wildfire research and economics. They really focus on the economical aspect of fire and impacts to that.
I bet
So
they
both
talk to
really-
you.
yep.
What was it?
I bet they talk to you, because I've never had any trouble talking to them, so they'd probably be happy to do something like a
Yeah.
Zoom presentation.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, great input.
Is there anything specific you would want to know from them?
Right.
I think they put out a resource on the cost difference between using fire resistant materials versus just normal materials, so that could be an option.
Most of their focus is around homes, so.
Right.
And right now, it may not be all that much different.
Right, I know, it's so expensive. Darn wood has become pretty crazy, I know, I keep my toothpicks. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I just watched a short video of Stephen Pine and Jack Cohen
Oh, yeah.
from the Headwaters.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what Bruce.
And it's really well put together.
yeah, that was, I watched that too. Yeah. Did
Yeah,
everyone
thanks for
see?
sending it out.
Yeah, did everyone see Bruce's email with that video in it? Awesome. Yeah.
There's also mega fires here, Paul Hesberg or Hessman, I'm just blanking on his last name, but it's Hessman, isn't it? Yeah. That's a really good, he's got a video out, we can share that link, but it's an excellent kind of documentary on how we got here as a whole. Pretty good. Okay, anything else? Cool.
So next month, July. I don't even know the date. Like
The 6th.
the 6th, July 6th will be our next meeting, first Tuesday of the month. Here and on Zoom, 7 to 8:30, and start getting into goals. How does that sound? And then I'll try and get those videos out before then. So I've heard back from at least the first section group that would have been on the 8th. So, and all of them are okay with doing a presentation. So I'll verify if they are okay recording it. And then just start getting those out as soon as I get them. Does that sound awesome?
What does, like, just a quick, I guess, pulse check. What do you guys think about how this is going so far?
We need to go faster. We need to just pick up the speed. Fire season's coming, guys.
Well, yeah, but,
Right now with this power,
Yeah.
it's dry.
right,
We
right.
need to start teaching about how to keep it.
Right.
So how do we do that then? How do you lay the foundation of a house? Because we don't want to build a house without a foundation.
We gotta get people calls.
We need to get Firewise information out to them somehow or another.
I think you need to get with Perry Bacchus and do a newspaper article, Valley Republic. Get that word out. Perry does an excellent job.
So you're talking outreach though.
We need to do it now. It
But,
needs to
well,
be now.
We are.
We have pamphlets and stuff that we put together. And we need the DNRC to help get those pamphlets out and get that word out right now. And then build this into it. Say we've got the Fire in the Road Council, we're starting to work it, but we're just developing. But they need that information. They need the stuff that we were handing out in the trailers. They need to know that right now, so they need to be getting their houses ready. Fire season is coming. It's coming fast, you guys. We haven't had enough rain. And the communities need to know that. They need to be, somehow or another, we need to be educating the public.
BLM just released their fire outlook for July and August, the entire state of Montana,
Yeah,
all red.
I think one may be the challenge of figuring out how we continue what we were doing with Fire in the Root while we advance the Fire in the Root Council.
Right.
So I think that's.
Yeah.
right. And so we haven't stopped outreaching. Bridget actually does social media posts every day. She's been doing events since we can get out there. We actually have increased our assessments. But part of the issue too is that handing out a brochure is education, but it is not mitigation.
That's right.
Like, and where it isn't just getting out the word that works. It's that, it is like, there is education and awareness, but we're finding, because we've been doing this for a long time, that we're missing something. And you also have to outreach appropriately. Ravalli County may not respond to brochures because we've had brochures for years. So it's like part of outreach is also tailoring it to your community and the community needs, not just pouring money into what we've always done, but might not be working, because we have been doing that. So if it's not working, then we shouldn't keep doing
I
the
think
same
that's why we
thing.
need, I think that's why we need an article, we need Prairie Baucus to do an article right away.
But he's done articles. That's what I'm saying is
I
like,
think
are you sure
every-
that's reaching the
Yes, it
public?
is reaching some. It's not
Okay.
reaching them all, and we've had a huge increase in the population. We have to also recognize that. And I think that every person we can reach, no matter how we reach them, is a valuable asset on our part. And, you know, it doesn't take a lot for us to set up an interview with Prairie Baucus.
No, he's actually already done an article on the council.
So let's do one more on law, and I think we need to keep at it. And you've got to keep putting the information in front of the public. And every single, like all those people, you talk to people who had no idea up there at the Alpaca. And we did 200 people out here at the pancake breakfast that had no idea. Some of them, and most of them are new people into the valley. You know, the people that have been here, most of us either, they're gonna do it or they're not gonna do it. My tree's in my front yard and it's never gonna be moved, and I love that green tree, and I can cut the branches from my deck. But the new people coming in, a lot of them haven't seen the information. And how many of those do you think are brand new people that you talked to? That's probably about 75% of them.
Majority of our buyers right now, especially buying the higher end homes, are
Honestly.
from out of state. They will pay attention to social media. You get the links on there, then in an article like that, they'll start looking for it. They may not know where to look right now as part of it. So part of that, an early education and getting them to look for where to find out more information. And this is what you need to do to call.
Do you give them information when you sell homes?
I try and give them as much information I can, but right now with the shortage of homes and the number of agents around, basically I've got a lot of buyers, but I haven't made a lot of sales.
Right, no, I understand that, but I'm saying for new people moving in.
If it's available, one of the big things another thing I'm working with now is the new septic regs are taking effect in July 1. And I'm working with another group right now. We're trying to get education out to the public and everybody on that. So and I know the commissioners are maybe holding back on some things, but we also need information to be able to get out through there too.
What about them, I mean, I don't know if it's even possible, because I realize I am new to it, what about having people, even volunteers from the community, setting up stalls at all of the farmers markets in the area?
Well, so that's what the council can do. Like, that's part, see, we can't do all of this.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like, so that's why the council is so important, because it cannot just be Bridget and I and Anna.
No, I
Like,
said,
and so,
I said, people, why can't we get some people to volunteer to do farmers markets?
right, but that needs to be organized.
Trained to do the assessments and that.
Right, and that's what the council's for. Like, it's the council ideally will hopefully organize
So the
those
council needs to take
projects.
that finger out then, basically.
Right, it's, the council is meant to be that organizing piece that facilitates it, not the DNRC, not the Forest Service. It needs to be a council of diverse interests, including the DNRC, the Forest Service. And so that's why
I think right now,
Council's
Fran, part of the
important.
problem is the people in this room don't have the financial backing to do a lot of that or the time. Your people in this room are volunteering their hours to the absolute max right now. And that's part of the issue, Like, we had Bridget come and thank heavens Bridget's paid to come do it. We have one of the Firewise trailers from the Forest Service sitting out here. Bridget came and helped us man it at an event that we had up at the Alpaca Ranch with the fire department. All the firefighters from Victor were involved with our rigs and our trucks and everything like that. And Mark was kind enough to send 2 of his Forest Service employees to help man that trailer, because we simply don't have enough people. I'll be very honest. We talk about volunteer fire department's capacity. There's not enough people to do all this. Now, we are gonna have another pancake breakfast. I did the one pancake breakfast here, and we're having another one the 12th, and I'll do it again the 12th. And each time, we're hitting a certain segment of the population, but we're not hitting all these other communities. And you're right, we need people in Hamilton to be able to they take the trailer to Hamilton, set it up and man it. And originally, the goal was that we would try to find some way to do that. So.
I think one thing that we might be still missing too is we need some more recruitment here pretty soon. I think, to help build this. From across the county.
So you're saying the volunteer fire departments need more people?
Yes,
Sign me up.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
If you live at
I live up Dutch Hill.
Dutch Hill, yes, all the fire departments need help right now.
Sign me
The
up.
valleys and everybody in the departments, or in the valleys for people.
Yeah. But no, that's right. Mark has that good point, that our first 2 meetings had pretty good representation, but we need that stable representation. We need insurance, we need realtors, we need firefighters.
Jacob, can you hear us on there?
Builders, title companies.
You did
Title
have-
companies be real important on getting information out when a home is sold.
Might we have like a monthly board of realtor meeting or something like that?
Yeah, we do, the 3rd Wednesday of every month at 9 a.m.
Where we're at.
It's at the board office. It's on 4th Street and
Jacob, can you hear me?
McD, I
on there?
think. One,
Yes, I can hear you. I'm turning on my video right now.
Perfect.
Can you
It
hear
would
me?
be great if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Sure.
Came in late, so.
Yes. I'm trying to get the lighting right. My name is Jacob Cummings. I am the Ravalli County planner for the county, and I am representing the government on behalf of Ravalli. And I am just here listening in to see what you all are talking about and see where we kind of fit into that play. And we're just trying to listen in, and that's pretty much it. My background consists of, I have a master's in urban and regional planning from the University of Central Florida. I lived down in Florida for 10 years. Prior to that, I did logistics and intelligence in the military as a veteran. And I ended up going to school down there, and started out with my bachelor in public admin with a concentration in emergency management and homeland security, as well as urban and regional planning. I started as a city planner working down in Florida in a medium-sized city. And I came up here in 2018 and I just fell in love with the place. And so I was very, very excited to apply for jobs for an entire year and found my home here in the Bitterroot. So I'm very happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate it. Sorry you missed most of the presentation, but it will be online.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a prior meeting. I apologize about that, but my boss told me that I was able to find this video online. So
Perfect. Awesome. We appreciate you joining in even after your meeting before that. So thank you.
thank you.
Scott's been really patient back there, Patrick, if you don't mind.
I was gonna say, I think you've got a really good idea about maybe getting some names from people buying houses, but I was in the financial industry. And so when you sign papers for a house, you get a notebook. And how many people ever open up that notebook when they go home?
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's a piece of paper and you can put all this information in there, but I think we've got to do other things to get out to those people.
even the pamphlets they hand out as they walk out the door would help.
Yeah, but I mean, still, when you get all that bulk, I think getting the other opportunities, and anybody in marketing will tell you, we've got to hit them 3 or 4 times before they're even look. And then the other thing I was gonna bring up is, in the past, this group has always swapped gears about July. Those fire prevention.
Prevention, yeah. Right.
Good input.
Which I do, I'm a big proponent of preparedness year round. So just FYI, that's my thing, is you're always teaching preparedness and you add prevention to your list, but preparedness, when smoke is in the air, that's the best time to teach preparedness too.
Do you think we should pick strategic locations throughout the valley and just have a banner? Says fire in the root, and then maybe the Facebook page and a link that they can look at, or partner with the lines at the coffee shops are 10, 15 cars long. Say, hey, until wildfire season's over, can we hang a 11x17 poster on the side of your thing? So when your customers pull up, while they're sitting there for 5 minutes while you make their coffee.
Yeah, so we actually are working on that. Hannah saw that, Tahoe uses that, Living with Wildfire, and they're excellent, but they have those big vinyl signs. And so we honestly are just trying to get the time to work on that, but that is on the list. Bridget is revamping our brochure because it needs revamped. And we've got the necessary, it needed revamped. And so she's redoing that and we will be printing that out. Like, we are not stopping outreach for this council. We are adding the council duties on top of what we have been doing. So just know we are doing it and we're trying. But those are great ideas. It is manpower and it is just our time, but we are working on it. And that's why this council can help, because it can bring resources and capacity and ideas like yours. And we can have a group, a committee that is devoted to outreach to help us do that. We can have a group, a committee that's devoted to assessments and figuring out how to help our volunteer fire departments address all those needs for risk assessments out there.
Like Corvallis's fire department right there on Woodside Cutoff, they have a digital board. Do you think we could talk to them to run something on there? Because people look at that.
Right, yeah.
I'm just thinking of the
Yeah.
main intersections, the intersection right in Corvallis. I mean, it is busy all the time.
Right.
Woodside, busy all the time. People are sitting at those intersections for 3 to 4 minutes and they're gawking around or they're on their phone. They see a bad, and it doesn't even have to be, it doesn't even have to have our logo on it. Just boom, fire season's upon us. Here's the link, here's whatever.
Right.
I think we were on gas station TV.
No, every year we've been on it, but GSTV, Fuel Montana has now gone out of business. GSTV is still in business, and I'm part of the team, and Anna Bateson is also part of a prevention team that will be doing prevention messaging. And if you're in our area, we definitely try to cover all the area we can. So we will be doing GSTV again and definitely do that. But yeah, we need that input on where, but it also is a cost benefit analysis, because all of those little things take time. So we need to do a triage of what's the biggest bang for our buck and our time. So like, lots of those little things are awesome, but it's probably like a bigger bang is 4 hours of her time working on that brochure, which will then, do you see what I'm saying? It's like, that's the problem.
You also have to remember, like she said, fire season's almost here.
Right, so we want the biggest bang for our buck.
Also,
I agree, but if
typically,
that works best. then
I
we
wouldn't
need to
be
do that.
here right now. Like,
Yeah.
this position is only November to,
No, actually,
It's
it's November or December to March at the latest.
so I would have been gone already,
Yeah.
pretty much. And it's only a 3-year grant. So there's 2 more winter seasons of this position. So You know, we could just keep going, picking at it piece by piece, get one home done here, one home done there. But what happens when this position's gone? Who's gonna take on like everything that, you know, we've been working towards and working on, continuing that education? Or is it just gonna drop? We don't want all this effort to go to waste, you know? So how do we make it sustainable, get action done, but also make sure it's gonna last?
Yes, maybe the chiefs might be a good avenue to help us get some more of what we've been referring to somewhat as community ambassadors. So in each of their communities, if we could get, we need to pull in, I feel, another at least 4 to 6 people out of the community that can then outreach within their local areas.
Mhm.
So I think if we could get any names of folks we could reach out to.
Yeah. And if anyone here has any names or know anyone, bring them, you know?
That's right. But at the same time, we're looking at over 220 some realtors here in just Ravalli County in our board.
Mhm.
And we can't have a hard time filling 13 board positions annually. And I'm the only one actively out here going to these meetings
Yeah.
Right.
as a board member.
Right.
So Mike, let me throw this out there. I mean, you have a monthly meeting. These 220 board members, I'm assuming don't all come, but I'm sure.
Normally, we're lucky if we have just the board members themselves rather than not just our general membership. We have one general membership meeting a year.
Okay. Is there any chance like someone that we can come and present, that we can come to you and present to those realtors and bring their education up so that they can speak to the public as they move into the area for the first time?
Why don't you shoot me an email?
Uh-huh.
And
He's got it, we've got it. We've got your email.
I'll get it, see if I can't get it on the agenda, because this upcoming meeting, we actually have a broker owner meeting right after that board meeting, which that might be a good time to come in.
Sure. And if we can do that with different organizations, and then we can exponentially grow by bringing everybody up to a certain level to be able to spread the word. So, yeah, if we can come to you, that's great.
And then I'll also email Bridget. We're having an open house at an after hours business, and I lost my calendar off my phone over the last week, and it's disappeared. So I'll have to get that information. I'll email you the information as far as that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be like a couple hours Thursday after business hours or something like that. I'll get that out, and that might be a good time too. We're looking to have affiliates come in, which could also be getting out to just business owners.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing can apply to Patrick. I mean, you represent all these ranchers and stuff. I don't know if you guys meet or if you guys have, you know, some type of communication. But
Honestly, I'm pretty disappointed in the ag groups in this valley. The president of the Montana Farm Bureau lives in this county and he's not active in this. I mean, the state president. And they say they have fire policy in their policy book, but it's not a real high priority to them till it's fire season.
if you think of something, I mean, in your travels and you're like, oh, well, this group would be a good outreach group or anybody.
The best way to get farmers and ranchers in this valley is on 107 The Ranch, the radio station, because everybody listens to it.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah.
Because that usually has, you know, a bunch of people around presenting things that you could do with booth on the fire.
What was that? Did you say?
The stock growers dinner.
Stock growers dinner.
Is it Bitterroot stock growers?
Yeah.
Is that the-
It's usually in January, somewhere around Super Bowl.
I mean, do you guys think that would be feasible for us to be able to tap into some of these groups, bring our brochures? Maybe there's a dinner and there's 300 people and we get a 5-minute spot. Maybe something.
There's that guy on the radio station. He does an hour-long deal. It's kind of like an open, I don't know if they call it open mic or what he calls it. But he's always looking for stuff to have on there and people listen to that radio station. I mean, it's probably the most popular one in the valley.
Are you talking about?
107.
Okay. I've also been in contact with Eric Young from Northern Broadcasting, so that's in the works too. Yep. Yes.
There's also the Valley County Fairgrounds is putting on a fair this year. So. outreach there as
We're
well.
already there, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
but I know she's starting to book out all the spots on the lawn and different events as well, so that's. I haven't really been up there too. So.
Yeah.
When is the fair? End of August?
Something down with the
August,
fire.
end of August.
It'll already be on
The
fire.
fair,
Today to get stuff into them because they're getting ready to print the book.
For the fair.
So if you want to be in the main fair book, I would get hold of
Melissa.
Beth or Melissa like tomorrow.
morning.
And figure out, because otherwise you'll miss the printing of the main book. Edition.
She may even throw like a half page pad in there for you too. She's good about that. I think it's
Okay.
$10.
That's awesome. All that's good information. Thank you, guys.
Where can I find their contact information?
If you want to get hold of me, I can get it.
Okay,
Ravalli County,
It's in September.
thank you.
Ravalli County website, the fair.
That's 2020.
Oh,
It looks like on the website, I'm pulled up the 2020.
Do we have any funds available to like buy a sponsorship or some?
well, we
I
could,
don't know.
but that's where we need to be organized. Like what
Yeah.
you're doing is you're doing the after goals. Like these are projects
Mhm.
that everybody's sitting out. And they're great ideas, but it's like that follows the goals of education and awareness and go. And we're not organized yet to
Just so
do
we can
that.
get
But
the info-
outreach definitely, because
Just so we can
That's
get the
what we
information
do.
out, like they're having rodeos almost every weekend in Darby.
right.
You know, You're getting,
But like Kristen
Ton
said,
of
we're
people
doing
there.
it simultaneously. They're still moving forward with outreach and still moving forward with education. All that stuff's still going forward, but we're also developing the council as we interweave it together. Hopefully, I mean,
To do that.
end all will be, it's all moving forward at the same time. Organized.
Yeah.
So it just takes a moment. We'll get there. What else, Bridget?
I don't know.
Was there
I'm
anything
good.
left on the table that someone had an idea or I didn't recognize? I saw a couple hands go up. I just want to make sure everybody got their chance to say what they wanted to say.
I had a question. Jacob had a question. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, Jacob, can you hear us?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn on my video. Sorry. Okay. My specific question was, I heard you all talking about, doing advertising and promoting for the program. And I had put a specific message in the chat room to promote, market, and advertise the program. Has the council considered conducting a controlled scenario or a possible controlled burning at the fairgrounds, which would visually show people the reality of why the program is so important? And the reason that I'm asking that is because sometimes, marketing with brochures and putting them in different places and trying to market that way at big events, sometimes it just doesn't meet the outreach that you might possibly want to be able to achieve. And so I was just wondering if we have an actual, a vendor site for the fairgrounds where we're going to have a physical person, and then maybe consider, getting some different firefighters together to put that controlled scenario together. But I didn't know if you all have ever tried to achieve something such as that.
So we have in Missoula County, we have model houses that are doll houses, quite large. One is built according to FireWise standards, one is not. And then we are actually in the process of finishing up those houses. And we have a third one that we are going to put through an ember wash and show how it burns. So we're gonna do the ember wash and then put it out so that we have the scorch marks and can use that as a visual. That's
Okay.
actual, so it's a little less labor intensive. It doesn't require a presentation every time. The drawback is it doesn't have that live fire presentation, but you're gonna have black on a house and you have the visuals for those items. And we, as Fire in the Road, Anna and I pitched in money to help create those. And so they are there, we can definitely borrow those and use those. So I think that's a great suggestion if you think that would work as a substitute for what you were suggesting.
I just know that there will be large populations at the fair, and I feel like it would behoove the council to conduct some type of scenario such as that, because you're going to get people attracted around it while they're, going around the fair and looking at different things. And this could be one of those display items that really is a good takeaway that people would talk about.
Yeah. Yep, that's a good point.
I can tell you all, from the county's perspective, we do have your brochures within our office, and anytime that we do identify a site, not necessarily within a proposed subdivision, because we do have regulation that does require a high fire hazard management plan if they do fall within the wildlife urban interface. But in terms of developments that are not within a subdivision, we do always recommend, and then we go over your actual brochure and describe some different techniques and resources to be able to help them with spacing and clearing to be able to try to meet that achievement. Although it's not required, it's only required within our regulations for subdivision, but we do always recommend those if we do identify that somebody is within the WUI, and 50% of the homes are within the WUI. So we quite often give those brochures out. Yeah.
Jacob, I have a question for you. Has the county done an assessment on, within probably the last 18 months of how many new homes are being built, or how much more of a population increase we've had in relation to the strain it will put on our resources, i.e. emergency, EMT, fire departments, sheriff's office? Is there something that's been done there that?
No. So the county does not have a growth management policy. So therefore, because that policy is not in place, we can't dictate and tell somebody what to do. However, within subdivision regulation, we do have, they're not necessarily called impact fees, but they are mitigating contributions that every lot is required, and they can negotiate with the Board of County Commissioners. But what they do is, it's usually the standard for fire is 900 per lot, schools is 250 per lot, and then public safety services is 150 per lot. From 10 years ago, there was an analysis for the school impacts. And it showed, it was a study that was done in Corvallis, and it showed that per lot for school impact, from what I remember, is that it was going to be well over, I believe, $7,500, and that's just for the school impact. But in regards to that, we have to refer to the Economic Development Authority, a nonprofit within the county, because they actually pull all the census data and they conduct the economic analysis. And there is an economist over there that will be presenting, I believe it's in November, after all the data from US Census has been synthesized. They'll be making a report to the Board of County Commissioners, and I believe that meeting is in November. But in terms of that economic analysis is going to talk about population growth, the type of industry sectors that we should be focused on within the valley. There's all kind of data sets that it hits, but those are the big main points: is population growth, what they expect with an increase over time. And they can do that in intervals of 3, 5, 10, 20 years, sometimes depending on the analyses that they conduct. But that is specific to the Economic Development Authority. But we do look forward to receiving that report, because right now we are currently working on our subdivision regulations to revise them. And that usually takes about a year to be able to do that revision. And so we are taking the high fire hazard management plan into consideration. That's why we're wanting to start coming to these meetings, to get more of a gist of the collaborative aspect of how all this is going to fall into place, and what we can do to either recommend or potentially in the future possibly recommend as a requirement to the Board of County Commissioners in terms of that, because we do understand and we see that over time that maybe the contributions are not necessarily the amount that sustains the volunteer fire departments. But I also, in my personal opinion, I think sometimes there's a lot of hands in the cookie jar or too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And there's a lot of collaboration with public, private, and nonprofit sectors, but I don't feel like it's coming together to make a conclusive statement because there are many different things that are missing. And I'm not saying to necessarily create regulatory control because that just increases the cost of land use and development. But I'm adamant to see where it goes because in situations such as this, the only thing that the county can do in terms of creating a fire plan per se is only through requirements in a subdivision. And that kind of scares me, but at the same time, what I can tell you, the Board of County Commissioners, the chairman of the board, Mr. Jeff Burrows, I think that he's Darby Rural Fire District. He's a volunteer firefighter, but from what he has explained to me is that they are trying to come together to get a federal grant to be able to hire the volunteer firefighters to be able to not only work on mitigation within Ravalli County, but also contracting for the national forest within the Bitterroot Range. And I don't know, I haven't did that type of research and I can find out an answer from them tomorrow. But from what I understand is that they are trying to obtain a federal grant to be able to help with the mitigating aspects of it. I don't know if it's in terms of the WUI actually, but I do know that they do want to do debris management removal, cleaning up some of the areas and creating that open space. So that way, if and when a fire does come, which it does always come, there are ways that the design is planned so that way that fire protection can come in and if they needed to, they could, pull from a creek or a stream system or from a lake system. But it really depends. I mean, we're in a low intensity and low density area where the sources are few and far and they are spread out and it causes a strain on actual services because of the distance of transportation costs as well. So it just really depends. I wish that I had a better definite precise answer for you. But in terms of that, we are looking at what the Economic Development Authority is going to be proposing and trying to correlate that with our revision to our subdivision regulations.
I wasn't so much, I'm concerned with the regulation side of it. I was more concerned with the scope of what our volunteer fire departments are up against. If they have, if they've had a 60% increase in their rural fire department area and they still have the same amount of firefighters and fire trucks, well, then they're severely under-resourced. And
yes.
So that I guess that was the
kind of
premise
overarching
of my question.
Okay, and that's understandable. So what I can tell you is when we conduct developments, we do ask, depending on where the development is taking place and what rural fire district that it is within, we contact them and we provide them with a letter that states that if they do want to provide agency comment, they're more than welcome to. And I know that sounds kind of like an administrative thing to say, to be like, okay, well, if they don't provide a letter, then that possibly means that they're not going to provide an agency comment. But we have to take that into consideration because that is a different agency. I believe over the next couple of years, the rural fire districts, they're going to get all the chiefs together and they're going to have to come up with a new analysis to show that either the cost increase or the tax increases because if there is an overwhelming demand and they can't meet that demand based on resources, then there's got to be alternatives. And it's kind of one or the other. You're in a taxing district and either that increases or there are grants that are afforded for the program to be able to substitute that as an alternative. So I can tell you, we do talk with the Hamilton Rural Fire Department, but I have did over 20 subdivisions in the last 18 months, and I have really not gotten an agency response from any other rural fire districts. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't care. It's just they're.
For a second.
I'm sorry.
You're new in Montana.
Yes.
Montana has a state law. Our taxes are capped unless we go to a mill levy of our voters, and that's part of the issue. the commissioners can't raise the tax base for us.
Yes, and that's understandable. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. I understand that. I'm just stating, there aren't many tools in the toolbox, basically. And so it's either finding grants, or considering like what you were saying, a mill levy. And I understand that. But I'm just stating like there's only so many things that we can look at. And so our recommendation from what I talked with my boss today is that possibly the rural fire districts possibly get together and collaborate on possibly a new assessment that shows that there could potentially be an increased cost in that. The last one, from what I recall, is from 2007, I believe. Yeah, when they made that assessment. And that's where I was saying, but that's only applicable to subdivisions, the 900 per lot contribution. So it really depends. I'm so sorry I can't really answer your question. It's kind of complex, and at the same time, I want it to be intercoordinated agency collaboration, but that's why we are here trying to represent the planning department on behalf of that, because we are interested and we do see the concern for that over time.
We appreciate that, Jake. Thank you for being here.
I
For all
think
your
one of
input.
Yeah,
One of the things to answer your question on fire departments is fire departments are having the same problem every employer with a lot of counties. There aren't enough people to do it.
yeah.
Can you say that again? I couldn't actually hear that.
I'm saying that fire departments are having the same problem employers in the Valley County are having, which there aren't enough employees to do the work.
Did you hear that, Jacob?
Yes, absolutely. I highly agree with you. Yep.
We
Willing,
were warned
willing
about
to do
that
the work.
15 years ago. They told us we would be at that point. We are.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know how to resolve that, because it is.
We don't either.
At least he's honest.
Well,
Well, as Bruce pointed out, we are averaging 50 new addresses a month, so hopefully we can get recruitment from all these newcomers.
That would need younger
Of
people.
course, they're part of the problem too.
I figured after 34 years, it was time to take a break.
Yeah, yeah.
Down to that next generation.
Yeah.
So, but we're all heading in the right direction. That's the good news.
Yeah.
We're all here collaborating, making that move forward. So appreciate everybody's input.
Well, anyone have any?
Yeah, I have one. I'd like to have a comment. Jacob, thanks for being here. There are, I realize I'm shifting from funding over to tools available to the county. Commissioners probably aren't interested in doing it. I'm going to send you a copy of February. I'll email it to you. I'll send it to everybody on the council. It was a survey of 4 western states, California, Colorado, Montana, and Washington, that was prepared by the Community Wildfire Planning Center in February 2021. It's the best layout I've seen of tools available to counties in Montana, and goes over for that. Like I say, that doesn't address the funding, which you were talking about, but earlier, before you got into that, you were talking about the toolbox for the county and how that affected the WUI. So I will get a copy, I'll scan a copy of that and send it to everyone, you included. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you, George.
Yeah, that's great input.
Yeah, thank you. Any last words before we already went 15 minutes over, so I don't want to keep anyone else too long. All right. Yeah.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you very much.
All
right.
Thank everybody.
Bye.
for
Thank you,
showing up,
everyone.
and Everybody in Zoom too.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Like a
so
great
much.
meeting, so.
Thank you.